What's up, guys? Joey McKernan here with the Equip Show. As you guys know, we are all things nonprofit here, and I am here with McKenzie Schneider from Bridge to Independence.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we are glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And I mean, Bridge to Independence, I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to learn more about it. You guys are doing amazing work.
Thanks.
I love your story. So I want to talk through like how you got to Omaha, start nonprofit, grows. I mean, all of that happened, I feel like, really fast.
It did,
So
yes.
Start us from the beginning, obviously,
man.
you know, and tell us.
We don't have that much time, but yeah,
In
no.
this condensed model.
Absolutely. So I'm from Seattle, Washington, kind of born and raised, and I knew I wanted to be an occupational therapist from pretty early on. That's my kind of profession by trade. And my husband and I were both looking into getting into grad schools in the same area. And so Nebraska, more specifically Omaha, was the only place that we both got accepted into programs in the same area.
You were like, yes,
yeah.
The greatest city of all time, Omaha, Nebraska.
Beef and corn, woo! But no, it worked out well. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I came here, did school, and just saw very early on throughout my graduate schooling how much of a lack of resources there were, not only in Nebraska, but just in the world for individuals with disabilities. I got burnt out of healthcare really before even fully getting into it, and just some of the models and the expectations and stuff like that, and kind of looked at, with my husband and our friends and said, there's got to be a better way to do something like this. So we'll figure it out, and go from there. So thus began Bridge to Independence. I took a very, unique route, and that as soon as I graduated from schooling, started up the nonprofit and kind of have been there ever since. So yeah, we are coming up on our first year anniversary here in about 2 months. So
First year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's not that long.
No, not at all.
You've done a lot.
Yeah, I mean, our team has done a lot of really cool things within the year. So it's been awesome.
Tell us about what you do now. Like, what does the programs look like?
Yeah, so Bridge to Independence, 501c3, and we provide free resources for individuals with disabilities. So we provide free adaptive swim lessons, yoga lessons, life skill classes, parent education nights. We have a free health clinic on Thursday nights. We offer IEP support and more. So that's kind of, all-encompassing what we do. And on a day-to-day basis, we have partnerships with multiple developmental disability agency providers in the area, other nonprofits, and other for-profit companies that are kind of aligned with our mission, and we're helping work through stuff with them. So, yeah.
You've done a lot in a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot, but it has been very, very fulfilling.
How big's your team?
Yeah, so we have 4 full-time members right now, and then we have really the rest are comprised of our board members, volunteer members, things like that. So we're actively growing. So that's been a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say this. You're very mature for your age. I want to put it out there.
Thank you.
And I don't know if anybody's ever said that to you. When I first
All the
met
time.
you and you told me your age, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, your ability to run an organization, to build an organization so fast.
Thanks.
I mean, it's super impressive. I want to take a side trip here for a second.
Sure.
Where did you develop your leadership skills? And have you always been in leadership roles? Has this been a new thing? I mean, it just seems like you've been doing it for a long time.
I have always been involved in leadership in some capacity, but I don't really like saying it like that. I don't really view myself as a leader. I view myself as just kind of the glue that keeps parts together. I think they're
So a leader, but yeah.
Well, no, but it's just one of those, because I don't know. I feel like in today's age, people view, the leader's running the ship and this and that. It's like, no, man, we've got so many people with so many skill sets and so many amazing things going on, but we're just not cohesive. So I view my job as just trying to be the glue, literally, that gets people where they need to be connected and moving where we need to be moving, and making things, easy sailing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But did you do stuff in college?
Yeah. Sorry, going back to your question. Yeah, I did, some in college. I've always been a part of like, National Honor Societies and stuff like that. I was
Yeah.
a part of a couple of leadership clubs. And I think for me, really what set apart. So while I was going through my doctorate for occupational therapy, I was also doing a master's degree in business. And so
See, this
for
is what I'm
me,
talking
no,
about. Where's the camera? Where's the camera? Like, this is what I'm talking about.
no.
Doctorate, masters, running all this. I'm
No,
like,
no,
what
no.
the
I don't
heck?
say it like that, but that taught me a lot of really
Mm,
valuable skills too. And I think, being a clinician, I see, okay, how do we run things for patients and how would we, what would I want, what is best for my patient, right? But sometimes, again, from a clinician standpoint, it's not always feasible from a business standpoint, right?
yeah.
But then if we're just purely looking at it from a business standpoint, how much money can we be doing? Are we shorting patients and this and that? And that unfortunately
That's not good either.
happens,
Right.
And so I think for me, the schooling and the background of healthcare, but then also the background in business allows me to be in a very unique situation where I can try to find that gray area, that middle line. And I'm not perfect, and it's never
Sure.
going to be perfect,
Right.
but I find it helps. So yeah, I think I was a part of a lot of different leadership things in college, but I think really just real world experience, I would throw myself into stuff that I really had no business being in. I was in more executive positions at 2021, just hey, let's make this work, let's learn,
Yeah.
and the education, all of it combined has really helped put me in a place that I'm in today. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're real sharp.
Thanks.
I just
I
want to
don't
say
think
that.
so,
I
no,
just want to
but
say that. I mean, it was the first thing I realized. I'm like, wow. Um, Back to Bridge to Independence.
yeah.
So that's what you guys do, right? What, when you look at Omaha,
Mhm.
how have you seen really when you look at the landscape of the disability services, like what are some of the gaps that we're not seeing? Maybe for people that just aren't that educated.
Yeah. I think the two biggest things are number one, wait lists, right? So we have a couple of great facilities, great clinics, great, adaptive programs, but the wait lists are literally
Wow.
5 to 8 years long to get
Okay.
your kid in there.
Wow.
For OT, if you're wanting to go to a well-known OT with an established background and this and that, you could be waiting upwards of 3 years to get your kid in. And that's more on the pediatric side, but 0 to 5 are kind of what we call the golden years. That's where kids learn the most. That's where their brains are developed. They are attuned to be taking in as much info as possible. So if you're 2 and you just get an autism diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis and you're now having to wait 2 to 3 years to even be seen by a provider,
Yeah.
that is a huge need.
Right.
And then I would say number 2, this isn't unique to Omaha, but I would say more in Western society, we oftentimes view disability as a commodity. So, I have, and I'm not attacking anybody specifically, but we
Sure.
offer an adaptive rock climbing thing. It's going to cost you $120 a session.
Mm.
Oh, we offer, adaptive swim lessons, but it's $50, $60 per half hour swim lesson. Oh, we have all of these things, right? So there are organizations and things that exist, and you have to make money. Businesses have to make money, but it is very easy to upcharge things for people with disabilities. And so I think a lot of people look and say, well, there's this adaptive sports program, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? And it's like, well, the reality is most middle class families cannot afford it. They're spending $20,000 to $30,000 in healthcare for their child. They're having to do insurance and this and that, and then you tack on all of these, you're having to pay extra for opportunities every other kid usually gets for free. It adds up really quickly. And so in Omaha, there was a need really for free, accessible services to all that were high quality. But it's not just unique to Omaha. It's a Western society thing where we just, hey, we're providing this thing for people with disabilities, we can upcharge it times 10,
Right.
and go from there. So
What have you seen? I'm so interested because you're objective. You could just, you moved into Omaha, now you're building all this in Omaha. What have you seen from like the nonprofit landscape and I mean, you built this thing really fast. So
yeah.
how are you able to just kind of parachute in and just start building? What were some barriers you guys had in those early times? Like,
Yeah.
what did you really have to figure out to get that
Yeah.
thing moving?
I think for us and our team, we had the plan. It was, how do we actually like afford to make this happen, and how do we make this work? And what I mean by that, you know, our biggest motto kind of within our company is people can't access resources they don't know exist, right? And for us, it's like, how do we get people to even know that we have these free services? And that's still a continual thing we're having to kind of fight through and show, because not everybody can take their kids to all of these clinics, or not everybody goes to these hubs, right? A lot of families that have a loved one with a disability are isolated at home. How do we reach them, and how do we allow them to know that we exist and we're here to help? And so really from the get-go, I would say, we've been so blessed with having so many community partners and volunteers and stuff. We had a team, but we would be placing events and we'd have maybe 2-3 people show up at first. And it's like, okay, this is on us. Like, we're not marketing this right.
Right.
How do we do this? But we can't afford a billboard, you know, on I-80 right now saying, hey, we exist. Like, please come to us. So for us, I think one of the biggest things is just, one, letting families know we exist. But then two, being truthful, there's not a lot of just free things in general in life anymore, especially in this economy. And so then also having to build trust of the families we're serving, that when we say free, we genuinely mean free. And we're not going to give you some Joe Blow off the street that's, oh, they're a therapist, but they're not really, or this and that. No, we have a licensed team. We've got great volunteers. They're checked, all of these things, and building that trust. So I think for us, it's been truly, number one, reaching, but then two, as we're still so new, we don't have a facility yet. And so we're having to rent out a lot of spaces, and there's not a lot of accessible spaces in Omaha. And so then trying to find places that we can do our adaptive swim lessons and we can do adaptive yoga and stuff becomes a little bit complex. So marketing, but then also finding places that, can serve a wide variety of people has been pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's so hard when you're starting and building something, and you're, the balance of what you're bringing in, what you can afford, what you're trying to invest in, and it's so hard.
Yeah, it is.
But you guys are killing it. So I just think, I thought of my dad applied for disability, and sorry, Dad, I just put your laundry out there, but he's fine. He'll get over it. And I think that's what that was. And he had to appeal and go to court 10 times.
Yep.
And the lawyer was like, this is just how it works.
Yep.
And then basically like the 10th time, they'll just like green light it.
Yep.
And that's basically what happened. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And my parents came back from a good background. I can't imagine someone who came from a challenging background, from poverty, trying to get disability. Do you guys work with a lot of families in impoverished areas that are trying to get disability, but like they probably don't even know where to start?
Right.
Getting the resources, getting the education.
Absolutely.
How do you guys educate in that process, like, and all that?
We do.
The governmental side, like.
Yes.
'Cause it just seems like a headache.
It's a headache. It is such a headache, and that's a great question. And honestly, it's going to be kind of a two-part answer.
Sure.
Number one, yes, we absolutely do. What we have found, especially in like downtown Omaha, north, south, there are a lot of Hispanic families that don't speak English as a first language.
Right.
And for IEPs, they get gypped because everybody else is speaking English at the table, and oftentimes schools don't provide the IEPs in Spanish or in whatever primary language and stuff like that. And so then families are just kind of signing off on whatever the school says because they don't understand what's going on. Unfortunately, I have seen it time and time again. And so we work with a lot of families that, are from just a disadvantaged background in some capacity, and getting them connected to resources like that. However, even that being said, the system does not discriminate. And like you said, even if you are well off, it is still a process, and it is a very confusing process.
Right.
And there are a lot of loopholes, and I could go on for hours of just the things and issues I see. But, with that, we have helped time and time again families that, they hired the best attorney. They hired, some advocate or whatever, and they didn't get results because they didn't know. But for us and our team, we've got a pretty diverse background of individuals we volunteer with and serve. And so it's one of those, if I don't know, well, hey, I can get you connected to, our paralegal, or I can get you connected to this physical therapist that we may know, whatever. And because of that, we've been able to, what took families 2 to 3 years to get services for, I'm thinking of one family, they were being denied respite at night because the child required a safety bed. And DHHS kept kicking back, saying, nope, like you can't have respite because of the bed, which is not true. Pretty much every clinic in the area was denying to do an eval, which the state was requiring to allow for that. And so we came in, provided the eval for free, and literally within a month, they started getting services. And for years, nobody was able to fix that. And so those are the stories that I'm just so proud that our organization is producing. And like I said, there is such a need. I really think we're kind of a drop in the bucket of the ocean of things that exist here in Nebraska, but it makes what we're doing worth it when it's like, yes, finally, okay, one, how's more to go? But hey, we got the one, and going from there. So, yeah.
I mean, it's so challenging. I couldn't imagine a Karenni family.
Yeah.
Language barriers.
Yep.
And then you step into the government. I don't think anybody gets the government. Like, it's so complicated. I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
The barriers. Why disabilities? Like, where did that come from? Was it just an idea, or was there a history behind it?
Yeah, I can speak personally, and then
which you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, no. I think for me, I had a harder time in high school, and I'll leave it at that. I really, really struggled with a lot of mental health things. And I went to a public school, and part of this curriculum, once you became like a junior and a senior, you could do classes or electives that replicated actual jobs. One of them was you could be a student paraeducator in a special ed class. And, I tear up always saying this story, but I could walk around having the hardest day. I'd get bullied in school. Nobody knew who I was, but I walk into that classroom and I had 20 best friends. Every one of those individuals knew my name. Hi, Kenzie, I love you. I'm so excited to be with you, this and that. And there was one guy in particular that he had Down syndrome, and I love him to this day. And every day the period would be over, and he'd say, Kenzie, I see you tomorrow. And I'm, yep, I'll see you tomorrow. You promise? Yeah, I promise. And there were nights that I, wanted to take my life, and I would come back and would, hear his voice and go, no, I made this promise, And that saved me in a lot more ways than I can express. And so I think for me, it's one of those, I can't ever thank the individuals and the class for what they did for me, but I can try to serve others in similar situations like them. And so for me personally, I've dedicated my life to this because quite literally, they've saved mine, and going from there. And I think more from an organizational standpoint, why we exist in our model is you see a lot of nonprofits that, and this isn't a bad thing, but you have like autism nonprofits, and you have Down syndrome nonprofits, and you have Parkinson nonprofits, and you have this and that. In reality, a lot of the population has the same struggles: lack of access, lack of funding, lack of inclusion, this and that. And I find that, again, we in just Western society like to kind of pick apart and have everything be kind of its own isolated group, community, and that has its space, but there's not really overarching organizations except for like at the government level that serve those with disabilities across the age, across the lifespan, across disabilities, all of that. And our hope is to kind of bridge that gap and be somewhere central that we can connect. Hey, we've got a partnership with this autism nonprofit, and we've got a partnership with this Down syndrome. If we're not able to fully serve you because you're unique, your needs are more unique, we can get you automatically connected to somewhere else. So we're not trying to be everything, but we're trying to fill the gaps where we see needed, and then also bring in as many people as we can to kind of get that all-inclusive thing. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you for being vulnerable.
Of course, yeah.
I think that's at the heart of what makes a great nonprofit. Is the leader is not just bought in, but they feel it, they live it, they breathe it. It moves them emotionally. I mean, they have experiences from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Those make great causes.
Yep.
What's your dream? I mean, I know what you do,
Yeah.
but what is your guys' dream as an organization?
Yeah, I would say for Nebraska specifically, our dream is to, in the next 5 years, we want to build a facility that is like an all-inclusive space. And from there, have an adaptive pool, an adaptive gym, adaptive places for therapy, and having a kind of one-stop shop in the sense of anything a family may need can be in-house. Because for now, a lot of individuals with disability, the reality is I have to drive to my doctor, then I have to drive to my OT, then I have to drive to my PT, then I have to drive to maybe ABA therapy or whatever. It's a full-time job trying to get to your clinic and this and that. And it's like, why don't we just come in-house? And there are some, major hospitals that will do that to an extent, but their wait lists are 4 or 5 years long to get into some of that. So we want to come in from more of a nonprofit model. And again, have it be, you don't have insurance, that's okay. We're still going to serve you. You can't do it, whatever. We have transportation to get you to our clinic, breaking all of those barriers. So we want to have full blown at that point, because we have our free health clinic now, but we want to have more established, like full blown health clinic, have a lot more adaptive programs than we have now, have it all be in home, and then have places that other nonprofits can be housed in as well. And they have their own little office and cute, whatever that may be, but doing that. Once we accomplish that here in Nebraska, the dream before I die is to have something like this in all 50 states. So that's the far-fetched goal. That's our team's goal. It's not just mine. But
we built the whole nonprofit in like 10 months. So
maybe we're on track.
I believe you can do it.
Thanks. No, I wanted to. It's one of those shoot for the moon, and if not, you still land the stars, and kind of going from there. And I never want to, our team never wants to sell itself short. So
for sure.
Yeah. So with that, we've kind of started playing with different states and looking at what's existing and getting connected. We're not ready to expand yet, but looking at that. But yeah, big goal is, like I said, have an all-inclusive facility with a bunch of free things where people know that you can walk through the door, you will be served, and finances are your last concern. We don't care. We're going to serve you as you are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's exciting.
Thanks.
Well, you're going to do it. What would you say, what are projects you're working on right now? What is a big thing or new thing or whatever?
Yeah, we've got a couple of newer things. So on May 25th from 9 to 12, we are trying to relaunch a free adaptive health education session. There is not a lot of adaptive sex ed for people with disabilities, and that has been a really huge need we've heard from our community. So we're hosting that at the Miller Library, and we're going to have licensed therapists there talking through just basics of everything. It's a free event, so really it's more so just having the community know it exists and come on out, because last time we had 4 people come. So we're wanting to have it a little bit bigger. Next, end of June, we're still working through some details, but we're going to be doing a career day. And so again, it's going to be to the public, it'll be free, but we're going to have several vendors that are talking through just their jobs, their careers. We're going to have artists, we're going to have people working in just different job aspects, from management to kind of office spaces to tech to whatever, just talking through, this is what I do on a day-to-day basis. And then we're going to have licensed therapists there helping build resumes, helping practice job interview skills. We're going to have Helena Photography coming out doing professional headshots, because that's something that's not often there. And so that's going to be, we're still, again, working through some of the details right now, and we're trying to figure out for vendors what day works best. It's going to be the last week in June, but it's either going to be a Friday or Saturday, that Friday or Saturday. But we're going to be doing that. So volunteers will definitely be needed. Vendors, if you're passionate about your job and just want to share it, that's going to be huge. And then really, I would say the next really big thing is going to be in August. We're going to be hosting a huge free, basically just wellness day. We're going to have free adaptive yoga. We're going to be doing a free swim meet, so people can come out and do swimming, and we'll have volunteers and stuff like that. We're going to do like an adaptive walk. We're trying to kind of plan. We've got 2 schools we're kind of coordinating with right now, but trying to do like almost like an adaptive triathlon thing too, if people would be interested in doing that. So those are a couple of, I guess, like bigger events right now. The 25th is solidified date time. Everywhere else, we've just got so many moving pieces. We're trying to hopefully by the end of this month get everybody like signed off. We're good.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to better announce the date time.
Love it. Lots of good things
stuff.
happening.
Yeah, yeah.
What can donors get involved with?
Yeah, oh man. I would say, you know, you've got money and you've got time, right? And we do all of our services for free. And so therapists, if you'd like to help out with our free health clinic and donate an hour or 2 a month, that would be huge. We teach free adaptive swim lessons and we now have a wait list. And so with that helping, we provide free training. We will get you lifeguard certified. We will pay, we will get you all onboarded. But if you're willing to come help a couple hours a week, that would be huge. Major events and stuff like that, we always need help set up, tear down, and all of that good stuff. As far as financially, honestly, I would say the biggest is 1, just donating, and then 2, considering being some sponsors for our bigger events. Our last community event had about 250 individuals involved in some capacity, you know, which was awesome. It was our Night of Wonders, which was kind of like a disability-friendly prom, and so going through and doing stuff like that. But like I said, we are completely free. And with that, we are heavily reliant on donors at this point to be able to accomplish and do what we do. And with that, we do have several, we sell a book about autism. We donate copies and the ebook is free, but we sell hard copies of that book. So that's, streams of revenue and stuff like that. So we've got pockets of streams of revenue coming in, and we're starting to bill insurance and stuff like that for some of our services rendered. So we've got more steady flows of income coming in, but with that, there are so many people that either insurance won't cover, or there's so many people that can't afford these services, so they have they come to us. And we still have to pay for rent, we still have to pay for insurance, we still have to pay for all of these things
over site.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Nothing is free.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much, McKenzie, for being on the show. Tell us your website again, bridgetoindependence.org.
.info, yes.
.info,
it's weird, I know, it's a weird one.
No, it's fine. Bridgetoindependence.info, guys. As you are looking to donate, looking to partner, looking to get involved, make sure that you connect with them. They're an incredible cause. And McKenzie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Seriously, we so appreciate you and what your work does.
Well, thank you. And partner, sponsors, get involved. They're amazing. If you're in the Omaha area, you got to get involved. They're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Thanks again.